Hey, Sarah. I have got some December spreads to finish out, so I thought I'd just turn the camera on and hang out with you guys. This is what I started for December, and I think I may carry this through. I don't use my monthly very often, and typically my planners usually have something printed on them already. So I don't know. It's harder usually for me to incorporate doodles in. I thought this was a good way for me personally to use this section. If I still want to write anything anywhere on here, I can absolutely write over any of those and just have a nice little background to it. I'm a little ahead because I knew that the last 2 weeks of the month were probably going to be busy and I wouldn't get my doodles in. And there was a couple that I wanted to practice before I actually put them on the following spreads. You can see it's a little crazy this month. I went a little whimsical. And part of the reason I did that is I wanted to play with markers that were inexpensive because I get asked a lot about markers, and I personally have a pretty good collection of markers. Now I have to say I've been a creative person for 20 years. I've got some that go back to my scrapbooking days, which is almost 20 years ago, up until now. So I do have a fairly large collection of markers, but it's not required, and I kind of wanted to show that it's not necessary. These are, well, you can see they're not even the name brand of this style of marker. But that's what I'm going to be playing with. I did get asked some things that I want to go ahead and hit on just in case you're one of those people that have asked me. You can see there's a lot of writing this time around where I've been attempting to teach myself this this modern calligraphy or bounce calligraphy, or I don't know the proper label for it because I've seen it called several things. I've been trying to learn that, so this was a good practice for me to do that. In order to do that, though, I've seen it done with markers like this. I can't personally do that yet. I did pull out some brush markers in the same color scheme to do my lettering, and you'll probably see that as I'm goofing off today. But I wanted to learn. I may not ever be great at it, but it feels nice to be able to fill in some places and throw a little more color that way. I just used a plain single subject notebook, and about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I just started practicing. When there was downtime, I'd grab my pen, grab my little notebook. They were 10 cents a piece on clearance. It was just a single subject, regular, generic notebook, and started practicing. I'm not using workbooks. I just went online, looked at pictures, tried to recreate it. I don't have any really good suggestions. I have wanted to try to learn this writing for years and years because I was first introduced to a style like this when Heidi Swapp was trending in the scrapbook community so much, and she always had the best handwriting. I loved her handwriting style and always tried to mimic it, and I finally sat down this time and kind of picked up some of it. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to try to do everything I've done so far on all these pages is this color scheme. I'm going to try to show you that you don't even need that many markers, because I tell you that all the time. You don't even need that many markers. I do like the bright color scheme because a lot of us have already possibly invested in something like this. These colors tend to be a little brighter than what you would expect by looking at the caps. But if you wanted to recreate a color scheme like this, you might go with this one, this one, this one, and this one. If you've got a set like this, you could probably get a very similar color scheme out of it. But if not, see if your kids have any of these still hanging around. Grab you a couple. I am not going to sketch anything out. We're just going to go in and be crazy. If they come out not good, I'm going to enjoy them anyway. So the first thing I'm going to try is a candy cane. And I got to tell you, every candy cane I keep trying, I get the neck of it so wonky. So I'm going to go ahead and usually I start somewhere around here or somewhere over there. I don't even think it's going to matter. Let's see. Do I want any wording on here? I certainly want to leave some room for that. I'm just going to dive in. I don't know why I'm being so particular about it. So one of the things I know I want to do is holly leaves. So let's see how good these circles come out. Not bad. I am winging this terribly. And watch, none of these holly leaves will be even. It doesn't have to be perfect. Basically, I just kind of do like I'm going to do a bunch of U's at the same time and then try to drag that tip in. Don't take it too seriously. The whole reason I'm even sharing this one, because there's not really much learning to it, was to just show don't always take it so seriously, because it can be really fun and playful to just add some of these things in, even if you're using stickers already. So I'm going to try to do the same thing over here. Not the best, it's okay. I think by the time all the details are in there, when you have bad details, you're going to not notice them as much when you look at the bigger picture. So those are not grand, but okay, we can deal with that. Candy cane. I feel a little shy about doing a candy cane in front of anybody, but maybe I should get you a little closer as I do it. Okay, we're a little closer. I'm going to pull up my chair so I can sit down and try this because I'm already a little nervous. Okay, that one turned out about like a half a heart. So one of my issues that I keep having is getting it even in between here. So I'm going to make sure that I've got the width figured out along that bottom section. And I just did like a little curve there. None of these are going to be the same. I don't have a particular method for this. So there we go. Not the prettiest. I do tend to kind of want to make sure that I start my lines of my candy cane at the top, because I did find that getting around the curve is where I would end up getting those lines a little wonky. So not great. We're still not looking at great, fabulous art, really. But let's try again. None of these will be consistent, I assure you. So I'm going to try to get the width pretty close. This is why I call this style of my doodles my ugly doodles. Because if I wanted to do like a really clean, nice version of this, I would have a ruler. I would have a coin or something to trace those curves. I'm not going into all that this time. And I didn't with any of these doodles. Some of them came out okay, straight out of my hand, and some of them didn't. Okay, so I threw a little holly next to that one. I'm going to do the same thing over here somewhere, because I know I'm probably going to draw some boxes around these, some text boxes, I would assume. Like I said, I didn't have a plan. I just thought I'd turn the camera on while I was playing with this idea, because there was a couple things that I had going on in this idea that I thought could be handy to know or see. Like, I'm going to try to get this whole thing in just one color scheme and enjoy the one color scheme. This is pretty much where I usually start. I'm going to go ahead and start getting some color down so it has time to dry. This is where I usually start having the fun. So I'm starting with the green. This is the questionable part, is putting the actual marker. I'm going to not scratch color in. We don't want to do that, because every time you cross over too much, that's when you start to get the bleed. And you're going to see that I'm not going to fill these in very well. I might get out of lines. It's cool. It's doodling. Don't take it too seriously. So I left a few white spots there at the top. I didn't get all that great into there. It's fine. It'll work out. It'll look like highlights later. And I have to turn things all kinds of crazy ways. If you don't know that about me, I have a spinal cord issue. And I lose signal to my arms every now and then, depending on what angle it gets, and it pinches it, and I lose signal. So I have to turn things in weird ways so I can keep that signal going. It's like dropping your Wi-Fi. Tell me though, coloring those in is not terrible. I did a terrible job with that, but I'm okay with it. I'm going in with pink because, like I said, I wanted to try to get a whole cute layout just out of 2 colors so that, you know, you don't have to have a massive collection of markers to do fun things. I'm even going to do my candy canes in the pink. So I'll start there and just do every other one. Oh, it worked out where the beginning and the end had color. I always like when it works out like that. I didn't bother counting the stripes to make sure that this section and this section had color, but that worked out. The other thing about worrying about bleed through. So on your previous ones, odds are if you've already got that whole planner full, you're never going to notice any bleed through. So keep that in mind. And if you do get bleed through, throw a sticker on it. Most of you guys have sticker collections that I admire. But I knew the reason that I started doing this is because I knew if I started with those sticker books, I would want them all. And I felt like that might get a little dangerous. Because I do love stickers. I'm an old school scrapbooker. Of course, I love stickers. I thought that would be a little dangerous for me to start that little adventure. And I'm trying my hand at a candy cane again. And you know what? I might even throw some peppermints on here. Some pink peppermints. That guy is awful. Look at that. That one is terrible. We'll make it fit in. I'm sure for some people, seeing me go straight in with this felted tip without sketching any of it out is probably nerve-wracking. But I like doing that because if I make mistakes, I kind of learn from the ideas of fixing those mistakes. Yeah, that neck is a little crazy. It looks like a very awkward flamingo to me. So I didn't even do the stripes the same on that one. I might come in and do some peppermints now. I want to get a few squares in, and I will tell you that I cheat with my squares a lot of times and use, you can use something like this. We've all seen those. But I typically cheat and try to use something like that already has the square in there. I'm going to do a little bit of both, though. To be ridiculous, I'm going to try to make some squares if I can. Let's try that. But I'm not making perfect squares. This one might be a little weirdly off. It is so not even, and that's part of what makes it playful. So I might put a few little dots there. let's take it a little further. The whole point of this spread was to be completely ridiculously whimsical and see if I could get away with it. So let's try again. I'll put one on this side too. I like to kind of balance things out. Ooh, see, I got a little hand jerk in that motion there. I felt my arm jerk. Close enough, really. Okay, I might not put the dots in that little frame the way I did this one because it's pretty awful. Maybe a quote box, maybe a real box. I do come in and use the little boxes, like I said. And let's see if I can find a few of these. I got a really good deal on like a huge, massive set of these for, I don't know, it was like $4. And honestly, I use them a lot more than I thought I would. Some of them are a little small. For me to get most of my pens or markers, things like that are a little too small for me to do things like this. But on this one, I'm going to go across and skip a few spots there, making little dashes. Ooh, those are not very even, are they? That's why I really liked this kind of theme this month, because it took a lot of the stress off. It was already so quirky. So that's kind of how I start filling in. Let's start throwing some details in. I think this has had time to dry. And I move in real time partially so you can see how I'm able to get so much ink on a page, because I bounce around without any real plan in my brain. I usually have an idea of what I want, but I don't have a master plan. I think that spoils some of the entertainment value of it if I think it too far. So I'm going to fill all these guys in. There is a couple added details that I have planned to throw in. Where I said these were a little quirkier, they weren't great. I didn't do the work to them like I might have if I wanted a realistic candy cane. But I am still going to throw a few things on these just to spruce them up a little bit. I better give that a second. So since I'm doing that, I will tell you one of my favorite investments is a good, decent white pen. I'm sure there's lots of debates out there. I just got a new set in of replacements for my Uniball Signo. You can tell this one's so old that it's discolored. And it was my very last one of the last collection that I bought. So I just got new ones in. But I'm going to tell you, this is probably my favorite for, I don't know, it has been for years. I started liking these my scrapbook days. I did try a different brand. Mr. Pen has some, like an 8-pack for $6 on Amazon. And I got to be honest with you, they're not bad. As a matter of fact, I'd put this one toe-to-toe, not with the Uniball, but it would go toe-to-toe with the Jelly Rolls, if you're familiar with those. I think I have one of those. What is it? The Sakura Jelly Rolls. The Mr. Pen compares a whole lot like the Jelly Rolls work. So if you're looking for a white pen, that one's not a terrible one at all, especially for the value. But I am a little partial to this one. So I gotta make sure the tip's clean. I think one of the first things I want to do is at the top of this candy cane, I'm going to try to follow my curve as best as I can. And let's see if I can get this thing started. These are all new. Like I said, that was my Christmas present, was new white pens. And I got them in already and couldn't contain myself playing with them. So I'm going all the way around that with the white. And I'll do that with all of them. As close to that top as I could get it without being on the black outline. But if you don't get it perfect, it's fine. You'll see all of mine will be a little bit different. Don't sweat this, honestly. This is supposed to be entertaining. If you're looking into doodling in your planner, it's supposed to be for fun, to add to why we play with our planners to begin with. So don't let it stress you too much. Let's see. What else might I do? I might do a little circle there on my already colored funny holly berries. Well, gosh, I left so much white space on that one. I didn't even have to put anything in it. So all of my holly berries. What else would I might do for fun? Okay, I'm just going to go in right about here. Oh, where's a good spot? Right about here, I guess. And I did a straight line all the way through. Let me get a little closer since this is white and I'm not sure how well this white is going to be showing. Let's try to get a little closer. Okay, maybe that's a little closer. So I did a straight line there and probably right about here at that top, just so you can see the white line go through some of that color. Basically made a lowercase letter T. And the best way to get these to work is to use really, really, really light pressure, by the way. And then I'm just going to do like a little X across that. So we just made a little star. I'm going to let that dry for a second because I don't know if you can see the ink's still a little shiny. This one you don't really have to worry about any bleed through, obviously. So let's move down here and do similar to this one while that one's drying. Just doing a line straight through and across like a letter T. And then drawing an X in the center of that. See how horribly fun those are? We saw me struggle to get that curve around. But it's horribly fun. Like the worse these are, the more I seem to be entertained by them. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing here so you can see. Maybe it'll help the sadness of this right here. I might move over a little bit. You know what? No, I'm going to try to find a way to make this a little more distracting where we don't notice how wonky this one is. This is why I said making mistakes helps me learn. So I'm going to do it across here. Maybe it'll distract from how terribly I did that one. So back to here, this one's had a little time to dry. I'm going to come in and right in that center, add a little circular dot. Now you can take this a step further because it is hard to see that twinkle, that starlight. You could always take it a step further, and if you've seen any of mine, you guys know that I love these cheapy Dollar Tree ballpoint pens, or probably any ballpoint pen. You know, to be honest, I haven't played with any of the other ones. I happened to start with these and have stuck with them. But I'm sure any ballpoint pen, the reason I like this is because I can drag the lines so thin, even though I think that this one shows on the packaging it's like a 1.0 tip. So you can always come in with a real light touch and drag that line up a little bit and maybe under there. I cheated and went all the way across that. I'll come back in and do my little dot back in the center again in a second. Let's do this one over here because this one still needs a little help. So it has both the black and the white little star there. Let's come back in and put the dot back in this one. And I'm going to leave this other one alone so you can kind of see the difference in how they using the black line with it highlights and how using just the plain white does. You see a little bit of difference there. I would do it on some of my holly leaves as well when I get to that point. So, oops, some other things that I would personally do. And I'm coming in with another generic, this is from my grocery store, generic version of these markers because they happen to have gray in it. I would come in and a lot of times I'll try to go around two edges of something like this, but here lately I've just been cheating and just doing a shadow under the bottom of the box. And if you notice, I kind of started a hair over from the corner and I ended kind of a hair over from the corner. No big deal, however which way you want to do that, but it does look like it's offset a little bit to me. I would do the same thing with one of these. And just go partially around it. You could go up the different sides if you wanted to, but I'm just taking it that far. Some of the other ones I used the blue color to do this as well, but since I'm trying to get away with just using the pink and green on this particular one, I'm not going to use the blue shadow this time. So now I can really start getting messy and filling things in and thinking about Christmas quotes. I'm sitting here trying to think about ones relating to sweets because this is kind of candy cane based. But what else can I play with while I'm thinking about the quotes I want to use? Let's try something else. Let's throw something else on here. What can we throw on here? Let's try just a regular peppermint. This is going to be bad. I'm warning you. I cannot do circles very well. Not a decent sized one. So I might start like that. I warned you I was not going to do a very good job with the circle. So I think I can live with that. But I am going to try to note to myself where the center point of this is. Probably somewhere right about there. And just swoop over a little bit. These might be a little crazy. Not too bad. I've done better, I've done worse, but this one's kind of fun to have it a little shaky, a little crazy. I will, though, just to kind of keep a little better control of it, I am going to cheat and use a straight edge to, I'm turning this one into a lollipop, I think. And this one is flexing on me, so it allows it to be a little crooked still. I don't know if you saw that. It flexed on me. See, it's awful. I love it, though. I love its awfulness. just gonna fill that in so it'll have a chance to dry. Oh, I should have waited a little longer. I'm smearing. I should have waited for my black to sit a little longer, but let's go ahead and fancy this up some. And I got all quiet. I was trying to concentrate. It is so awful. It is funny. What else? Regular peppermints, maybe. Like I said, I didn't have a full plan. I just know that I wanted to do the pink and green. Okay, I'm going to come in and test my luck with a little brush marker writing here and see how well that goes. Let's find out. This is always still kind of a hit or miss scenario for me. I'm doing a short word just to get my sea legs going here. I struggle with the pressure changes that it takes to do this. But that works. Since I'm going with sweets, and down here is usually where I align my dinner plans, I thought that would be a good little start to kind of test out where my writing kind of stands today, if that makes any sense. I thought I'd come in, start adding some more boxes. That's probably a good time to do that, because it gives me a spot to try to control where I put my writing, especially since I know that I will likely end up having a lot of filler for these last 2 weeks of December, because the odds of me actually sitting and writing things down during those days, it's going to be a little slimmer. I might even try going across. I don't usually do that. I usually keep things contained within the square unless it's my drawing. But, you know, I would do that just for fun. I'm still trying to think of phrases that I might want to add to this. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple other things, though. Let's get my little hollies up here done. Ooh, I am so out of line on that. Still love it anyway. One of the other things on my candy canes, and I'm going to do it to this lollipop too. I told you I'd add a few details, but I wasn't going to shoot for realism. So at the bottom, opposite of where I did the white line, I'm going to do the pink all the way across, even across the white stripes. Same here. I might want to try to miss my my little spot there, my little shiny spot there. But I'm just adding a little bit. Can you see that? Let's get a little closer. Okay, so maybe you can see that. I just shadowed really along that one edge. I'll do the same thing for all of them where I can fit it. This one is a little hard to get it in there. And I've taken time. You've noticed that I've moved around. That gives these just enough time so that we're not messing with the integrity of the paper, so that it's not saturated constantly. I'll do the same thing on this, but I'm just going to pick kind of this bottom side here, maybe, and go around the bottom section of that. I went real wonky on that, but it's okay. And the other top part, I am struggling. This thing, it's got stuff stuck to it. Ooh, it won't focus. These pens really do work well. It's just I sat it in a little container like this, straight down, without the lid on, and now it's all, the tip's all icky. But they really do work well. That was me using it poorly. Now I'm just going to scratch on the back of this and try to get some of that icky off. If you got like a little alcohol swab, that helps get some of that corroded yuck off. So here's a good opportunity when I say that sometimes making mistakes is also a learning opportunity. Where I have this little funky spot there, putting this highlight across there is going to help clean that up some. Not perfectly, but it'll help. So now we have our kind of crazy looking little lollipop. I'm going to go in, now that you've seen kind of the principle of what I was, that different ideas I'm throwing together. Now is the point where I will start using some repetition. I'll start repeating these images in different spaces, but I wanted to get the basics with you about these images, and maybe you could kind of get an idea. I do think that I might add some of my little Christmas light bulbs like this. And I'm going to tell you the best way I have found to do something like that is find something circular or oval to trace. And I have a couple stencils like that. And just trace the end of it or something like that. That's what I'm going to do to try to get those a little smoother, because if I try this freehand, I guarantee I'm probably not going to get anything that looks like a light bulb. But I can show you really quick that you could do something similar, and maybe it doesn't have to be completely tragic. Let's find out. I think I'm going to come here. And do some kind of crazy swirly thing like that. And probably come up with part of a square. Let's do some round ones. Or close to round. We'll call those round. Oh, my little marker here that's been making me so happy is trying to fade out. So I would do something like that. It's not the best. It's not terrible. It's going to work. And I'll color in 2 of those. Let's throw the green in there. This is where I'm coming back with the gray. And I'm probably going to do the same thing. I need to let that dry a little minute. But I'll probably do the same little shiny blingy thing at a smaller scale on those as they dry. You could certainly do something bigger than that. And let me show you. I gotta figure out how to fix the tip of that. It's got like a little spot that is now kind of separating. So let me find a good spot. Where's a good spot? Let's do something crazy. Maybe up here. I'm doing this a little bigger of this funky looking square. Okay, let's find out what it's going to look like. So, same thing. Throw a few of these around there. Keeping the size consistent is very difficult for me. I might could throw a few more on here. I'm sure I can fit a few more. You possibly could even put them towards the inside of it, rotate them. I'm making all mine go outwards, but you could make them go both inside your square and outside your square. That definitely looks a little ridiculous, but let's see what it looks like with some color on it. Oh, I feel like I might need one more up here. What do you think? I'm going to throw one more up there. It seemed like it was a little bare in that spot. There we go. Let's try with some color. Oh, wait. I want to rotate them. Oh, it worked out nicely where I could rotate the colors. So I'm going to give this one a second to dry where I accidentally started that little bit of pink. If I let it dry longer, I should be able to go over it with the green and it not cause a big deal. We'll throw a little bit of gray on there. I told you I was aiming for whimsical for sure. Let's go ahead and try to fix that. Now I'm back down here. This is how I work. I'm back down here. I can come in with my white pen again. Let me make sure I got some paper to scratch it on to get it working. And I might do little versions on these. And I'll still need to come in with the black on that one, I think. And they don't really need that much. You can see they're small. They don't need that much bling. It's still wet. I can't do it yet. Still wet, still wet, still wet. So that means I probably need to wait a minute on this one. But I can come up here. See, this is where I like my learning process. I can come up here. See where this is lumpy? Where my circle connection was a little lumpy. Let's get a little closer. You can see what I mean. That little top part was a little lumpy. I'm going to use the same cheat to even some of that out. And then you'll never know that I did it quite so lumpy. That's going to have to dry for a second so I can come in and do my black lines. One of the things that I try to remember to do, is to do something up here with my numbers. Because I always get a dated one. I make sure I get, since I don't do the stickers, I go ahead and get one that's dated. But I like that the dates are large and clear to read. But they could use a little oomph. So I'm basically just trying to do this smaller version of these holly leaves, which can be a little bit of a test because this tip is so thick. Oh, you guys didn't even see that. Why didn't one of you tell me you couldn't see it? I don't think there's any particular, you might do this if you've got dates that you're really wanting to highlight. So my drawing is going to end up coming across there if I don't watch it. I'm just going to stop it. Whoops. I should have stopped a little sooner, but you'll see what I mean. I just kind of work around it. So Wednesday, This one here, I don't know if I will share this one after I've put some things down. This is one that will be important to me. It would be my daughter's birthday on the 21st. So I usually have some kind of memories there to put down. Just some thoughts, things like that. I think I'm just going to do every other date, mainly. There were certain ones I knew I wanted to throw a little something on there. And they go all which way. You could do all of them if you wanted to. It does get a little busy, though, I'll tell you. The more you decorate around them, it starts getting a little bit busy. So I typically try to space it out a little so I can still see my dates pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling some things in. I think I've gotten across most of the things that I kind of wanted to share. That this one, I really was not going to aim for any kind of perfection. I wanted you to see that they don't have to be perfect. And yes, I point out all of my mistakes because I see them. I am very aware of them. But when I get done and I get finished and I'm looking at an overall finished project or spread, I'm usually okay with them. Even though I know they're there, I know the mistakes are there. I'm just putting a few little highlights in these Christmas bulbs. Like, I'm pretty aware that the mistakes are there, but overall, is anybody else really noticing them when I share them? Probably not. They're looking at the bigger picture going, okay, that turned out to be an okay spread. So a few little highlights on my little crazy light bulbs there, if you can call them that, my little Christmas bulbs. This one is definitely going to be a playful one. And I do think that I'm going to be happy with just the pink and green. I wasn't sure. I know that I can make spreads that are 2-color spread, 3-color spreads. You're not needing a whole lot of markers or colors. I have done that before, but I hadn't shown any. I know my videos get long. If you don't like long videos, don't watch them. This is more to hang out and play planner stuff with other people. This is the closest thing I do to socializing. So you can see on that one, I just kind of went around. If I extend too far over that, I just kind of stop. If I realize that what I was about to draw is going to go too far over it, I just stop and I'll leave it so I can see it better. Some of you might not have that problem, but visually I still like to be able to read the dates pretty quickly. Now you can see how I've gone in, repeated the same movements, the same type of things, added a couple other things that I used previously on the other spreads. And this is my end result. I still left some room. It's a little more open than what I would normally have at this stage. It's just I know I will have Christmas weekend things to want to fill in here and here. So I kind of left those to be able to jot some last minute things in. But I kind of think for it just being the pink and green, I really like how that turned out. That's only 2 colors. All of the depth was really created by us shadowing in on this bottom side or things like that. So it really looks like we had more markers when really it was just these. I'm going to give you a second so you can kind of see the details that I added. Mostly just repetitive bits and pieces that I had already tested out. And I'll flip back through a couple of these. So I've had fun with December because in my calendar setup, it gives me 5 different spreads to play with. I may pop back on and show you the very last one, I would guess. Maybe the last two. Should be the last two. That was one of the two that I just shared. This one. Let's go back to it. I do kind of like just the pink and green. I wasn't sure because I had gotten so colorful with these, but I think it works in really well. I did practice a little lettering or tried to just here and there just to get a little more practice in since it's end of the year for this one. And yeah, I have one more to do. You can see the back side here. I've got one more to do that hopefully I may or may not get to share with you. Not sure what timing it's going to be. I know this was long. This was just something to play with and kind of get you to the idea that none of it has to be like super spiffy artwork to still be used in cute ways. By no means is any of this grand artwork, but it's playful, it's fun. It very much gives me that childhood Christmas whimsy. I hope you had fun with it. Maybe you picked up a tip or two, got a little idea or two. I'll get a little closer for a second. There you go. Maybe you can see how all my little bling spots have dried. And it just looks fun. It looks playful. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. I think this is all full of whimsy myself. I plan to get some more videos out to you guys. I don't like being organized with the creativity. I can be, but it's not nearly as fun to me, and I'd much rather just find people to hang out with and enjoy creating with me. That's all. Talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.